From Studio 8A, coverage you can count on in high definition. This is KOMU 8 News at 10.
Trees down in Montgomery County. That's one of several places in the path of tornadoes tonight. Good evening, I'm Brittany Pieper.
And I'm Christine Roto. We'll head right over to Morgan Manson for an update on tonight's weather.
Good evening, Mid-Missouri. Now, as I said, those tornado watches have gone out, and now we are only seeing a tornado watch for Marys County. Now, that is until 4 a.m. tomorrow morning. However, it is not going to be a big deal for us, and it's just on the very outskirts of our viewing area. Now, here's a look at your weather warnings. You can see we are having flood warnings as well as flash flood warnings across our viewing area, and do remember that this means a lot of roads are going to be covered with water. Make sure and take precaution. But here's a look at what we are seeing right now. We're finally starting to see most of this heavy rain move on out of our area, but I do want to take a look down here and see this hail. That is the lighter purple. That is your hail. It's about pea-sized, and it is going to get a little bit worse with that lighter blue color. Now, that's hail up to 1 inch in diameter, but I'll have more with your weather here in the next few minutes.
Thanks, Morgan. We have some breaking news out of Eldon tonight. A teenage boy was reported missing, swept away in floodwaters. Police tell us there is a search underway, and the Eldon mayor is giving an update. We have a crew on the scene, and we'll bring you more information as soon as we get it.
Several roads across our viewing area closed today because of flooding. KOMU 8's Rebecca Neff is back from Scott Boulevard, where some drivers aren't paying attention to the signs. She's here with an update.
It started on the soccer fields near the MKT trailhead. According to the Boone County Emergency Management website, Scott Boulevard will reopen tomorrow.
We're definitely not the only people dealing with severe weather today. Folks in Oklahoma are coping with another round of tornadoes. This storm comes after the deadly tornado that killed 24 people last Monday. Today's tornado whipped through El Reno near Oklahoma City. So far, authorities have reported 5 deaths, including a mother and her child who died near a vehicle on Interstate 40. As rain continues to fall, the water on Gillespie Bridge Road here continues to rise. Now we're looking at as much as 2 feet of water covering part of this stretch of road. Most drivers who saw the road closed signs today at the far west end of Chapel Hill Road turned around. Some curious Columbians decided to come in for a closer look, but even the biggest trucks turned around when drivers saw the extent of the flooding. One resident in the area said she only uses the road to get to and from I-70, but after years of living near it, she's learned to avoid it whenever it rains.
We actually just drove over it yesterday, and you could tell that the land was really wet. And I remember thinking, if we get one good rain, it's going to be gone. So
one car did get stuck on the road. Rescue teams tried to move it, but they couldn't get it out without possibly getting their own vehicle stuck in the water. Rescue crews in Ashland today had to save a family after floodwaters surrounded their home. Boone County Fire Protection District water patrols had to travel about a half a mile from the road to get to the 2 homeowners and their dogs. Officials say the water is 10 feet deep in some areas. The family says they tried several ways to get out but couldn't make it past the waters, which made for a pretty frightening experience.
Just panicky because, when you're surrounded in water, we had a canoe, but that wasn't going to work, so it was scary. I'm shaking.
Jesse, her husband Shannon, and their 2 dogs, General and Gizmo, plan to stay with a friend until they can get back in their house. They think they should be able to return home by Saturday.
The Missouri River has reached moderate flood stage. The river continued to rise today amid heavy rainfall. Officials measured the river at nearly 27 feet at 5 this evening, making it the 34th highest crest ever recorded. Parking lots near the Capitol flooded, but Jefferson City's city administrator says most buildings were cleared out of the flood years ago. Longtime residents viewing the river are surprised at the height of the water.
Once in a while you see it like this, but not real often. Last year we were in drought. This year it's going to flood. I don't understand how that works.
Jefferson City levee is 30 feet, the height at which the river is expected to crest. The river is expected to continue to rise until Sunday at 6 p.m.
Folks in Iowa are also dealing with severe weather. The Iowa River is beginning to cause a lot of problems for people in Johnson County. Right now, the Coralville Reservoir is overflowing with water and the flood levels continue to increase. A house that's not far from the reservoir is almost underwater, and some residents are moving out because of their homes because of the increasing water levels. Folks in Cedar Rapids, Iowa are doing their best to prevent severe flooding that's expected to come their way. Volunteers spent the day filling and stacking sandbags to soak up the water. Weather officials say they expect the Cedar River to reach about 20 feet before the weekend is over. That's the highest the river has been in the last 4 years.
Rain or shine, the American Cancer Society is celebrating all through the night. After 100 years, the society thinks it is time for the biggest celebration in town. 43 teams moved from the parking lot to inside the Columbia Mall for the Boone County Relay for Life. The celebration began with an opening ceremony. The cancer survivors were the first to take a lap. They are there to remind the people fighting the disease and their caretakers that there is hope.
As for the people that, are walking through this with people that they love, the only thing I can tell them is you got to take the good with the bad.
Caretakers wear a purple sash to stand out in the crowd. Each team has a booth. The American Cancer Society hopes to raise $170,000. People will walk until 6 a.m. tomorrow.
3 dead and more injured after a fire in Houston today.
We'll tell you how the building went into flames. Plus, a tour bus ride in Egypt came to a tragic end. We'll tell you what happened next.